Here we go. Started. Podcast. It's recording. How are you?
Hi, everyone. Hello.
Sisters, how we doing? All three of us are here.
How are you?
We started the podcast.
This is it.
Dan had a very easy, very not sure yourself with that start.
I like it.
I don't really officially start until Diego makes at least one noise. So I wait for the noise and then we start. One of these podcasts should just be an hour of noises. Actually, I don't have the athletic ability to do that.
And us nicknaming each other.
Yeah. I am the Necklace and Reckless. I got to get like a shirt made up or something.
Yeah, make sure.
I like that name, Necklace and Reckless.
It's great.
You should get a. You should get a scarf.
That's fun.
It's just Necklace and Reckless.
It goes on your shoulders. It doesn't
There's a comic in Florida who has a joke about he's like really fat. He has no neck, and he's like, I should have been a UFC fighter because you can't choke what's not there. And as always, the other two hosts, seamless transition from a joke that wasn't that funny.
Yeah, bitch, we're delivering.
To the trainer, Diego Lopez.
Hi.
Wow, I like
New
that
nickname.
Coach.
That's pretty bad.
Trainer, coach. Yeah,
Coach Diego Lopez.
There you go. Hi, hello,
Coach
everyone.
Diego.
You know, and
Big
that
kiss
if
on
we
the
start
lips.
calling you coach, then that really solidifies you as not being the same age as us.
It's true. I'm
Yeah,
okay with that.
I like
well, you know,
that.
technically,
You're the coach of the
you can
pod.
call me professor because of jiu-jitsu.
Wow.
That's what you do in jiu-jitsu. You call him
The
Professor
Professor.
Diego.
I like professor better than coach.
Wow.
Okay, whatever you want, baby.
Coach is might be a little funnier.
Professor.
So ridiculous. And
Yeah, because then I picture him with like a whistle.
Yeah. Like, I blow the whistle like, bat arm bar.
and
And that is Papa Luke Tuma.
Papa.
what's going on, everybody?
All right, that was a long introduction, but it's all three of us, and we're back in the studio. No more Gleason's gym.
No more
Yeah,
Gleason's.
man. Now
It's-
it's finally we can record somewhere professional.
Yep, where Luke's feet are buried under 18 water bottles in my passenger seat.
You do have a
What's
lot of
up?
water
The
bottles,
comfort of Dan's Nissan Rogue.
It's not a bad car.
No.
I think it's a great car.
But yeah, man, just coming off of UFC 227.
That's great.
Yes, you
Fights just ended.
Yep.
were a one-man show out there.
Yeah, I won.
You did such a great job.
Thanks, man. It was super fun. I was able to do so usually, for those of you who don't know or might be new to the podcast, the three of us go to UFC events and
Not just UFC events,
well,
but yes,
yeah,
yes.
UFC events, also like other
Live MMA events.
PFL, yeah. Live MMA events and work press, and we sit in the media room, but also we go back to the media room, but we also usually sit on the floor, cage side, and Dan does live tweeting. He tweets out jokes and analysis throughout the entire fight. He's very good at it.
Very great.
And then
Thank you for letting me know
I
I'm good
do
at
the
Twitter.
interviewing of the fighters, and then Diego comes up with questions for us to ask the fighters, and also does a little bit of the interviewing, and also usually does the editing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, he is the jack of all trades of the group.
yes, he is.
We're a
The
little
professor,
team
if you
player.
will.
But yeah, so this time I went to 227, but I was the only one that was able to go.
Were you
to
operating the
LA.
Twitter as well? Because I
Yeah.
saw some tweets on there, and I was like, "This is Luke."
Yeah, it was.
I like them.
You're like, this
Yeah,
is a
it
good
was-
fight. Also, Luke Tuma's hilarious. You know who's got a great body? Luke Tuma.
I've been hysterical.
I was the only one. I was the only one there though, because unfortunately for Dan and Diego, they do not have a girlfriend's mother who is willing to set them up with $50 flights to Los Angeles.
It's crazy how much of that I don't have. I don't have a girlfriend, and I don't have a girlfriend's mother.
I like that you phrase
You
like
know,
that, and you were like, "They just don't have money."
She's not even rich. Fucking not at all rich. She just works customer service for JetBlue. So
And you get to fly JetBlue. Like that's like the best of the best.
Oh, dude, that's number one.
yeah, it's really nice. So yeah, I get a nice little buddy passes for cheap, and that's the only way I could afford to go to places like LA on very short
Do
notice.
they put
but
you in
it
like
is-
first class?
Sometimes they'll
Like,
put
you
you in
get the
the
bump up?
even more space seats, but when you
Those are
fly
nice.
to LA, they have these things called mint
Mint, yeah,
seats.
JetBlue Mint.
Which is like they fully recline, and you get like champagne, and
Oh
they're
my
like
God.
they're literally like these like bed couch seat things.
JetBlue Mint is absurd.
Yeah, and you have like your own section almost.
They give you food from restaurants in the city they're flying out of.
Yeah.
It's like they'll have restaurants fly to the airport, bring a gourmet meal, and then give
Restaurants
that to
have
you.
planes?
Yeah, in the sky.
Whoa.
They throw it through the air.
The restaurants fly food into the airport.
They send
Yeah.
a pizza guy on the plane like, "Hey, dude, you're going to Memphis."
That's great, dude. That's so sick.
I saw
Yeah,
a
no,
story the
it
other
was-
day about one of the Asian airplanes. Like they found a dead baby in the toilet.
Of course.
And I was like, that'd be the section I'm in. And I was like, that's new Spirit's new slogan as well. At least we don't have dead babies.
There you go.
That's such an odd thing to find in a toilet of a bathroom on an airplane. Like, how did this happen?
I got to deal with this now.
Yeah, apparently, like the woman gave birth into the toilet. I don't know why we're going into this. How was 227? You don't need to know about airborne births.
It was good. So I stayed with my buddy Alex Gatlin, former podcast guest. I spent basically a total of like 16 hours in the city of Los Angeles.
Yeah, it was pretty quick.
In and out.
Yeah. I flew there and landed. I took the flyaway bus from the airport, met my friend Alex Gatlin. He drove me to Hollywood to the subway. Got on the LA subway, took the subway 8 stops to the nearest stop.
They have a subway in LA?
Yeah, just that only goes from Hollywood to downtown. But I was going to downtown because I was going to the Staples Center, and I took the subway 8 stops to the nearest I took 2 buses actually from the airport. Then met Alex. Alex drove me to a subway. Took the subway 8 stops to the nearest stop to the Staples Center, which was still a 20-minute walk.
Oh my God!
And then hey, it's Rory Albanese. I walked. Was it?
No, just look exactly like him.
Oh my God! It wasn't Rory
Holy
Albanese.
shit!
Hey, well, at least we're not objectifying women. We're objectifying Rory Albanese lookalikes.
He's a good.
But no, so I walked in. I got to the. To 227 was great. I didn't have floor access, so I was in the media room for the entire duration of the fight.
Big media room?
Huge media room.
Yeah.
Way bigger than the ones we've been in.
Really?
The 3 of us. Also, I would say 5 times as many journalists were in there.
Wow.
Good food?
Worse food.
Worse. Wow.
Noticeably worse food.
Last one I was at had no food.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
None at all?
I think Utica had like 1 tray of pasta.
Oh, really?
But it was also like a room the size of like this car.
Yeah.
It was like no one wanted to go to Utica. I think that's the first and last time the UFC will be in Utica.
That's so funny. It's like, well, because when we did it, I remember when we did the one in Atlantic City, all the guys who had been to a bunch of these were saying like, "Oh, this is like the best food. This is the best food it's ever been." And I was
like
"Oh,
steak.
Yeah, it was like steak. It's pretty good. And this one was like very no. This was like what you feed a room full of like 100.
Yeah, and then Khabib came in with better food and was like, "If you do 10 push-ups, you get the better food."
With that bunch, not too many push-ups are coming out of that room, but it was good, man. I fucking. Made a friend, Anthony Walker from Sure Dog. Shout out to him.
Anthony,
we hung out the whole time. Very good
Sure
dude,
Dog.
Man. Yeah, he's a real cool guy, man. And he's from LA, so he only goes to the West Coast events. And we had been to about as many events as each other. We weren't like old vets there, so we were kind of like on the same pace.
That's great.
Dope.
It was really cool, man. It made me a lot more comfortable being there. The fact that I got to hang with this guy, and he's just like a cool, down to earth guy. But it also made it.
Dude, that guy next to the car just picked his nose and ate it.
Wow, it's gross.
Oh man, he like did it without hesitating. Sorry, I just could not comment on that. That was repulsive.
Diego's like, Diego's like, why?
Kill the momentum with just the grossest thing.
It was like he did it right in front of us.
Yeah, he did. He's living the life.
Wearing a Mike Piazza jersey. Not even a jersey, one of the T-shirts that's a fake jersey.
The thing is, like, people that are listening can't see this, so we could easily be making it up. It's like when a comic puts plants in the audience and they like smash the heckler. A guy did that last night at the show. I was at a
Wait, he planted a heckler?
Yeah, I'll talk about it after. I don't want to.
Oh, yes, please.
It was let's say it's at a very prominent show here in New York, and he followed a really amazing comic, and he was doing like a character, and he planted a heckler, and it was just, it really drove me insane.
I didn't know people still did that. That's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, Anthony was awesome. It was cool hanging out with him, man, and it made everything made me a lot more comfortable in there. Because, like, you're walking in there, and this is my first pay-per-view event, and apparently it was the first one that Middle Easy had gotten credentials to in a long time. That's what Tommy said, at least. And you walk in there, and you see, like, there's a lot of big-name guys there, man. Like, Ariel was one of the first people I saw in the classic Ariel suit. And then, like, in and out of the media room, just, like, walking around are people like Tony Ferguson and whoever. Yeah. Which, like, the fighters I'm like, more comfortable around almost than the journalists. I'm just like, I know how good these guys are at their job, so I feel pressured to like perform at this.
Well, because you're doing the same job as them at the moment.
Yeah.
You're not fighting.
With Tyron Woodley. So it was great having Anthony there, man. And I also think that because I didn't have floor access, which was kind of a bummer because the fights were so amazing and I would have liked to be on the floor. But when I was there, I didn't really even think of it as a bummer because it kind of made it easier for me to do all 3 of our jobs at once because I was just really locked into doing all the stuff. Like I would literally do the interview, rush over, edit it, put the Middle Easy watermark in like Diego taught me.
You did a great job.
The night at his apartment. And upload the videos to social media platforms and YouTube. And I don't know if I should be saying this, but I'm sure not many of the other guys will listen to this. I was getting our interviews. I was like literally like racing to get them on the MMA subreddit before anybody else in the room, because we're all doing the same interview, you know.
Yeah.
And you all get to use the same footage. But what I like to do is a lot of the guys use the full interview, which I think is cool, but I kind of like cutting them into like clips of the most interesting things said.
I agree.
I liked cutting them into like 2-minute long clips.
Because I feel like the other guys do that because it's less work. You're doing more work by cutting what you think is gonna be more popular. So that's like even more of a job.
Totally, but I also think it's more like shareable when you make it the most interesting stuff.
I agree.
People want to hear Woodley talk about Colby. They want to hear Woodley talk about the fight with Till. They don't want to hear Woodley talk about... People don't really want to hear Woodley go, it's been a good camp, man. I feel strong. Like that whole thing.
I've heard it a million times.
Exactly. Yeah. So I wanted to cut it, but that was... had to get the videos up, and then I was basically live tweeting throughout the fight, but also encouraging both of you guys to tweet.
Yeah.
Because it was like... The tweeting was the thing I was able to do the least.
Right.
It was like I was interviewing going as hard as I could, interviewing, go as hard as I could, editing and putting them up in time. But the live tweeting I was doing, but it was kind of like the last thing on my list of priorities.
Yeah, I fucked up. There were some tweets that I meant to send from the Middle Easy account, and I sent them from my own.
Whatever.
I was very drunk.
I was kind of at
I was
a party.
absurdly drunk and high.
You were what?
I was kind of at a party. It was hard to tweet.
Yeah, like I literally had a party at my house for the fights, and I was bombed since like 3 PM. So then I was like, "Is this Middle Easy?" I was like, "Oh, I'll just get the tweet out." The cool thing is when you run all these accounts, you can just retweet all of our stuff from all these accounts.
Yeah, great.
Like I use the podcast, like our podcast account is starting to get some followers on it, so I've been retweeting our shit every day on there.
Yeah, it's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And so dude, it was like Marlon Vera was one of the prelim fights, and he won, and his daughter was born with a nerve condition where she's unable to smile, and she just got surgery 7 years into her life that made her allowed her to smile.
So she legitimately had resting bitch face.
Got her ass. You got that child, Dan.
Come on, that's a good joke.
I did not say it wasn't.
Oh, wow. Forced resting bitch face.
Sorry.
Shitty disease.
Sorry, Marlon.
Oh, God. Okay, well, yes, she had resting bitch face, and she got, it was really in the middle of an inspiring story about a child. But,
did she smile for the first time?
Smile the first time after the surgery. And Marlon won, and he kind of dedicated the fight to her, and it's like this inspiring story. And then while I was interviewing him, he and his manager, he kept like looking over our heads to the TVs behind us because his training partner Alex Perez was fighting, and Alex won with this like phenomenal first round knockout over an undefeated guy. This guy Jose Torres, I believe.
Yeah, Jose Shorty Torres, great fight. I love Shorty.
Very good fighter.
Yeah, he's undefeated, and Alex beat him knocked him out in the first round, and they watched him knock him out, and they literally started like screaming and cheering and like freaking
of course.
out.
I felt bad. I was Utica was Shorty's first fight, and his mom was sitting behind me, going like Shorty. I felt bad watching him get his ass beat.
Dude, well, Alex landed like one big shot, but it wasn't like I didn't think he was like gonna knock him out or anything. And Marlon first just like calmly points in the middle of the interview while he's sitting on the stage. He's like, "Watch, my boy's gonna knock this guy out."
Wow.
And then he's like looking at it, and all of a sudden you hear the manager who's like to our side go like, "Yeah!" like scream.
So
and
sick.
we look behind, and he's just like,
What a great moment.
Yeah.
That's such a great
It
moment,
was
man.
amazing, man. And we got it on camera, and I got to like be there 2 feet away for it.
The footage was great that year. You got very good footage.
Thanks, man. And it was like, and then Alex Perez came in immediately after, and I was the one who asked, which is cool because it was like a big moment in the interview. I got to ask him, how did it feel watching Marlon? Marlon told us, we were here while Marlon watched you. We got to watch Marlon watch you knock out Jose, and he was so excited for you. How did it feel watching him win earlier in the night? Did that amp you up anymore? Did that inspire you? Blah,
Right.
And he went on this long thing about how like Marlon literally grew up in the slums of Ecuador, and like he had this horrible like upbringing, but he made it out, and then his daughter was born with this disease, and they finally got enough money to like get the surgery to fix it, and then like he almost cried watching him, all this stuff, and like talking about how much he liked his manager, and it was like cool because it was kind of like you saw what the one guy thinks about his training partner and their relationship, and then immediately like 20 minutes later you got to see what the
That's
next
fucking
guy
great,
thinks.
man.
Well, now I feel even worse for that resting bitch face joke.
I mean,
grew up in the
I'm a little
slums of
teary-eyed
Ecuador.
right now.
Yeah.
Thinking about that, that's so fucking great, man. That's one of the, like I love that the relationships you build with people through this, and it's not that MMA is any more or less special than certain other sports, but it's just you know the person so well because fighting is so intimate, more so I think than football or basketball. It really, you have to show yourself truly.
Yeah, there's no team. I mean, there is a team, but you're out there alone.
Well, yeah, and what I wrote the little write-up about it, and I said it in this, but what I kind of noticed being there was between those guys especially, even between training partners and also between opponents even, there seems the kinship between fighters, and correct me if I'm wrong because I've never been a fighter.
Please.
A part of it seems to be the fact that, like, you're both doing this same job where you're risking your life. Like, you're both doing the same job and putting your life at risk in the same way. You're both playing the exact same dangerous game. So there's like a mutual respect and admiration between them because of that.
Yeah.
Because it's different than, it's even different than two comics because when we go on stage, we're not risking like getting like paralyzed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So they do have that. I don't know.
Speak for yourself. Have you seen Steve-O's act?
Well, I'd say to that, and as I think you're right, is I think what the camaraderie built through MMA is that there's very few people willing to put themselves through a camp to help another person. I need sparring partners, and they need me, and not a lot of people exist that are willing to do that.
Yeah.
And
So
also,
it's
I feel
very
like you
important
work together because even though you're fighting each other, your opponents, you're working together to put on a show.
Yeah.
Because they are showmen. They have to sell this product.
Show people.
So it's like there's that weird camaraderie where they're also working together towards the same goal. It's very, you get to see it in these, like when they have a battle and then they just hug each other. Like when, what's his name, when Cub lost, the guy like bowed down and kissed his feet.
Yeah, that's a little too much.
Moicano, yeah, that was too much. At first I was like, oh, this is nice. And I was like, oh, he's a dick.
You know what's funny? You never see that when the person loses.
No.
You only see when the person wins. It's
If
like,
you
how
lose
very
and then kiss your
graceful.
opponent's feet, that's weird.
Yeah, it was no man, it was really awesome. It was a cool thing to see, and it was especially cool to see both of them like show so much emotion for the other one, and for it to be so close to each other. It was literally like one guy watches his training partner knock out an undefeated guy and feels all fucking cool about it. These guys are like the classic guys that sell weed on fucking Dougal Street.
They think they're being funny and they're not.
There's like two dudes like literally.
Yeah. They got their outfits from the Chief Keef catalog. That's not a racist thing. That's what they look like. Oh, yeah, it's probably racist.
Also, you didn't have to see.
Yeah, no one knew.
Nobody had to know they were black.
I didn't say they were black. They're white
Well-
Chief Keefs.
Well, you said it was racist.
They're Native American. They're chiefs. Come on. We'll edit that out.
But
No,
yeah.
no, we won't.
Anything stick out in terms of being at a pay-per-view or being at an arena that big?
Yeah, that was your first. That was the first pay-per-view that we had gotten. Well, you had gotten to do.
I mean, just it's a little different because you're stuck in the media room. You weren't necessarily out in the audience.
But I could say what stood out in the media room was that the names being tossed around for who the guest fighters were going to be were really big names.
Right.
And we were like, Sean O'Malley had just like tweeted at me, so I really wanted him to come back because I wanted to like introduce myself, be like, hey man, you were the one that liked my joke I made, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
See if you could do the podcast, whatever. And I asked someone like, hey, they were like, who do you think's come back? And they like named some people, and I said, what you think O'Malley, Sean O'Malley? And the guy like almost rolled his eyes at me like. No, they're not gonna bring Sean O'Malley back. Like literally, like the level of fighters they were bringing back. Why would they bring back Sean O'Malley?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like yeah.
As if like he's not big enough to be brought back.
Right.
Because some people were, they were like maybe they thought Nate might come back. They thought Poirier might come back.
Yeah.
And then the two that ended up coming back, which was amazing, were Woodley and
Till. That's great.
back to back. And again, same thing as Marlon and Alex Perez. Till came in first, then Woodley, and they both showed respect for each other back to back. Till said an immense amount of respectful things about Woodley.
Okay.
And then Woodley came in and said a ton of respectful things about Till, and it was kind of cool seeing that back to back.
That's good.
And
I'm glad Till was respectful for Woodley, but not his children.
What?
Worst father.
So I thought that's what the context was when he said that. But then I asked Anthony, who's the guy from my friend from Sherdog, and he was like, right when it happened, he was like, I don't think that's what he meant. And a couple of the other journalists said they didn't think that the context of that interview
Was literal.
For anybody that doesn't know, there's an interview up. You can see it. And basically Darren Till says, he talks about that he doesn't care about money. He only cares about legacy. And he's like, I have a pregnant wife at home. I don't really care. I have a daughter in Brazil. I haven't seen in a year. I don't really care. But I didn't know. They thought maybe he was saying that, like, I don't know, that he's concerned with bigger things than money. But
to make it, to emphasize, I think he was trying to emphasize how important the legacy is to him.
Yes.
He took something that is very important to most people and made it seem like it wasn't important to him.
Yeah.
I think we're taking a little too literally, but I don't know him, so maybe. But
yeah, they people were kind of upset, commenting and like tweeting and stuff about Till, basically saying that he like doesn't care about his kids. He only cares about his legacy.
I mean, if it was a son, I bet he'd care more. I gotta say.
Boom.
Maybe his kid has resting bitch.
My favorite tweet was when Middle Easy put out the video of like your camera next to the massive cameras.
Oh, so funny.
Like our struggle camera.
Yeah.
Now one guy commented on it. Don't get it. I was like, what did you get? There's big cameras and then one small camera.
Yeah, how much more
It's
simple.
so self-explanatory.
It's nuts.
It's literally hashtag struggle camera.
Fucking dorks.
Yeah, it was.
I think that makes us stand out with the smallest camera. I love it.
It was funny. It was like the tripod is really what's low rent. We had this tiny like $10 tripod I have that I still use.
It doesn't help that MMA Junkie John has like a 10-person setup of gear.
Well, there were like 5 people at this. That's another difference is that usually John Morgan from MMA Junkie has like a way bigger camera and way more complicated setup
But
than
that's
everybody
his
else.
job. Like
Totally.
we're doing this.
That's true. This is our fun.
Or yeah,
This is our playtime.
we want to become maybe more of a.
Well, the other thing
yeah.
is like if there were 5 people with sets that big there, it was like crazy. And I don't know who decides what with this, but only Ariel and then people who work. It seemed to be that only Ariel and then people who work for the UFC, like Megan Olivi, are able to interview the fighters like in the hallway right after
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
get
like
off.
on their own.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. They're
I think
the
what
best
happens
at
is
it,
when you
so-
build up relationships, like a fighter can request to talk to someone before everyone else.
Yeah.
So I think when you have all those relationships, they know they want to go to Ariel first because he's going to get it out to the most people.
No, yeah, that there's definitely could be it.
You know what I
It was
found
like-
interesting was, but just it popped in my head. I forgot that this happened. Was I had like the party for the fights. I had friends over, and the former host of this podcast, Austin Locke, was there, and also TJ wins the fight, right? And then I don't know if you saw in the post fight, he thanked a doctor, and Austin goes, "That's my uncle."
That's crazy.
And we were like, what? He's like, yeah, 1 second. And he called up his uncle. He's like, do you work with TJ Dillashaw? He's like, yeah, I do stem cell injections for him. He's like, he just called you out on the pay-per-view thanking you.
That's amazing.
And Austin was just like, oh, yeah, it's my uncle. I was like, how do you not find this so funny?
Wait,
That he just called him out on live TV.
It's crazy.
he does stem cell
Yeah.
injections? That's legal?
Yeah.
When did that become legal?
Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm outing like doping right now.
Wow.
Ugh,
Wow.
that's very interesting.
Hey, maybe a little.
Ooh.
Well, I'll tone it down and say he's a sports performance doctor.
Well, yeah, all right.
Ooh, a little stem cell, something or other.
I
mean, TJ's in very good shape.
to my knowledge, that was illegal in the United States.
I'm also
Wow.
But I
not
don't
confident
know.
that it was TJ. It was after one of the fights.
All
TJ
right.
was the one who thanked his doctor.
Fuck, I was trying to make it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I lose it. No.
No, just so everybody knows, TJ Dillashaw was the one who thanked his doctors.
Yeah.
And
All right, that's
Let's scroll through his Instagram, see if he's been hanging out with Lance Armstrong a bit. Did we just dig up our
That
first
was-
journalistic piece?
Right, I think we just did.
Dude, it so fits your personality that you just did an amazing piece of accidental detective work. I love that.
If I was ever a detective, I would solve every crime accidentally.
You
Just be eating something. I'm like, is this an address?
you're like Monk, but just messy.
Yeah,
I'm just funk.
There you go.
Boom.
fucking.
Nothing.
But no, it's cool, man. And Woodley came in. Woodley also the Woodley interview. I've seen people commenting like all on the YouTube pages where the Woodley interview is posted and tweeting about it and stuff like that. There's a kind of general consensus that this is Woodley's best interview he's ever done.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
And everybody was like, God, this makes me love Woodley, and I never liked Woodley, which I like because I didn't like that. I don't like how much shit Woodley gets. But
That's amazing. That's literally why we do this, to make people like the fighters.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's literally why we got into this.
dude, he
I gotta
and
do-
that
sorry, Anna.
that felt like good one because I asked some questions and some of the questions ended up being like cool jump off points for conversation. So I was happy about that. And then also, like, Woodley said some of the most interesting shit I've heard a fighter say. He was saying that like he thinks Till is the toughest opponent for him in the welterweight division, and that it's gonna be a battle. And he was like, I could tell during our face-off, during when we stared at each other, that he really believes that he's the best welterweight in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't. He named a random person he fought in Strikeforce like fucking 10 years ago. He goes, I haven't felt that from a fighter since blah blah blah.
Whoa.
And he was like,
was it Nate Marquardt?
No, it was.
I love Nate Marquardt.
Was it
Start with a T.
Yeah, Tariq Safardine.
Yep, that's the one.
That's him. He's a fucking great fighter.
Good
Yes.
pull, Diego.
Yeah.
Thank you
so
so
he
much.
said I haven't felt that since I fought Tariq Safardine in Strikeforce, and he was like, Till really believes he's the best welterweight in the world. He really believes he's going to knock me out and beat me. He was like, he truly believes it. And he kept saying, he reminds me so much of myself when I was his age, because I was that crazy young guy calling out everybody. But the big thing that we have in common, like him at his age and me when I was 25, is that like, he's like, I really had that actual self-belief. Like, I really thought I was the best in the world when I was 25.
That's a fun comment because it's like positive, but it's also like, I was your age one time too, kid.
Yeah.
Well,
Tone down a
and
bit.
He said this amazing. It was like one of the most inspiring little bits of trash talk I've ever heard. He goes, he was like, listen, he truly thinks that he's gonna beat me, and he should have that, and it's gonna be a fucking brawl. This guy is gonna give me a ton of problems. And he was like, but I'm going to win. And he was like, I'm going to win, and this will be a learning moment for him, where he learns whatever he needs to fix to get to the level I'm at, but he's not going to go any further. Like I'm going to beat him. And he was like, and it's happened before. He goes, you've seen me done it before. He's like, remember when Robbie Lawler was a champion? He was the most feared guy on the planet. He was like, we all heard those things. Robbie Lawler's going to be fighting GSP in Madison Square Garden. Robbie Lawler's going to be the next superstar of MMA. Robbie Lawler's the most entertaining fighter, and he's going to be fighting all the biggest names in MMA and be the next A-list celebrity. And then he just like paused and he just goes, not in this lifetime.
Wow.
Damn.
God, it was so fucking
Brutal.
That's
so
fucking
badass.
cool.
Also, I have never been so intimidated by a person my entire life.
Oh, yeah?
When Woodley was answering my questions, he answers everything a little angry. Not as angry as Dana White answers everything, but a little like everything he answers. I was like, because Darren Till was like, hey, Darren Till told us, he was like, listen, I don't deserve this title fight. He straight up said that. He was like, I'm the first person to say it. I do not deserve this title fight. But Colby fucked up, and he called Colby a cunt. And then he said, Colby fucked up, and he missed the shot.
fucked up.
Yeah, Colby. And he's like, he missed the shot, and now I get the title fight, so that's what it is. He was like, but, no, I don't think I deserve it, but I'm going to do it because I got offered. I'm not going to turn down a title fight. And I asked Woodley, I was like, Till told us he doesn't think he deserves a title fight. Do you feel he deserves it or that it's too early? And he literally like leans forward, he like looks into my soul, and he's like, who deserves a title fight then? Who deserves a title fight? Did Conor deserve the title fight? And he's like naming all these people. He goes, name 5 people that deserve the title. Like literally like staring directly into my soul. I was like, whoa.
I would have panicked. I would have been like, Roy Nelson.
Yeah. It was cool. He was intense. And he also, another interesting thing he said is that he respects Till more than most of his opponents because Till was involved in gang violence and Till got stabbed and almost killed when he was like 17. And that
It's
Woodley,
funny that gets the respect.
yeah, I know. Well, he said Woodley's like, we're from the same background. He was like, I think the reason he has a self-belief is because he's not scared of being in the octagon at all because he's dealt with more dangerous stuff outside the octagon.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
It was just, he gave so many interesting perspectives on fighting, and a lot of them had to do with Darren Till, and he had a shitload of respect for Darren Till, and he talked some really cool trash.
It's funny because that was the point I took away from the Heather interview last week was that she was like, what are you going to throw at me that life hasn't already?
Exactly. It was a lot like that, dude. It was a lot like what Heather was telling me.
The Heather interview was one of the, not to break the fourth wall here, one of the few episodes I actually listened to. And I was like, she's incredible. She is so fucking cool.
She was also so fun to interview, and people seemed to really like it.
People loved it. I mean,
man.
Melissa, who was our biggest fan, was like, this is the best episode ever.
Oh, hell yeah.
And
Thanks, Melissa.
she listens to every one, so I trust
Shout out to
Melissa's
Melissa.
opinion. Yeah, I'm meeting her soon. I'm going to
that's
Wilmington,
awesome.
North Carolina to do a show in
That's
a few
great,
weeks.
man.
Oh, speaking of, if anyone if any of our listeners are going to be at Ellis Mania in Vegas on the 25th, I'll be there. So say hi, I guess. I don't know.
That was so humble. He will be there cornering Luis J. Gomez with Michael Bisping.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah, he should have thrown in that he's going to be with the Count.
I'm going to be the Count. Going to be my new best friend. We're going to have a really good time. I'm going to stay in his house. I'm gonna meet his kids, and I think it's about we'll see. I'll be in LA too.
I wonder if
don't know,
his kids
whatever.
all have normal faces.
What do you mean? He's very handsome.
No resting
'cause
bitch
the eyes.
face.
Oh, okay. I think because I think.
I was making
I
a
thought you
callback.
meant
I was doing a callback that wasn't too specific.
Oh, I
so
get it.
didn't
No,
count
that
as
took me a second.
callback.
I'm sorry. I should have got that earlier.
Um,
What's going on outside? It seems like
I don't know.
there's a
It turned
storm.
to like death out here.
yeah, it's really
what the
got really
hell?
windy.
All right.
And there's like stuff falling. Well, that's New York. You always get hit with something. You're like, that shouldn't have fallen on me. The city that crumbles.
I mean, speaking of just the fights themselves,
Cejudo.
Cejudo
Yeah, I mean, we
versus
Well, we don't have to skip that far. Pedro Munoz.
There were so many good
Munoz
fights to
versus-
talk about.
Versus, Brett Johns was.
I just saw the main card.
Unbelievable fight. That
Yeah.
was like a war, dude. It was the last fight on the prelims. It was an
Beautiful.
absolute war. Moicano was phenomenal. That guy's really good, man.
Ricky Simon looked great again.
Yeah, Ricky Simon looked great, man. It was cool to see him again. And then, because we've seen him at past cards we've worked. And, dude, Cejudo was... That fight was crazy, man. We were all... Everybody in the press room, like... I thought you could have made the argument he took the first round. And then he clearly took the second round. Mighty Mouse took the third. And then, again, I think that he clearly took the fourth. And it was we were like, God, this is 2-2 going in.
Yeah.
And in that fifth round, man... It was like it got to the point where it's like, okay, neither of these guys are looking to like really knock each other out in this round. And the big thing that Rogan kept saying that kind of was evident was that Cejudo is an Olympic wrestler. He had gotten a bunch of takedowns on DJ throughout the fight, and that if he landed a takedown in this round, it would probably solidify the win for him. And he kept going for the takedown. And I mean, DJ's scrambles are unbelievable.
it's phenomenal. It's amazing. It's so impressive how well he can scramble in the moment.
Yeah, I was noticing, and I again, you'll know way more about this than I would. His ability to like almost when he gets out, when he scrambles to spin his body like 180 degrees around whoever's trying to take him down.
Yeah.
Is like his ability to like flip position when he's scrambling it's like unbelievable.
It's like he doesn't wait. Like he touches the floor with his butt and he just whoop, like
Yeah.
rotates out of it.
It feels like he's teleporting.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
like,
He's
crazy.
phenomenal. It's really
He's so
impressive.
quick.
Yeah, it was impressive to watch, but yes.
Where did you have it at? Who'd you have winning?
Cejudo.
Did you?
Yeah, I had it 48-47 Cejudo.
I had DJ.
I had it, and I thought it was at least 48-47 Cejudo. I thought you could have argued that Cejudo took 4 of those rounds.
Wow.
I thought because I thought the first round was even, and I get that Mighty Mouse probably took the first round, but I was thinking like that could have leaned towards Cejudo. So I definitely, in my opinion, I think Cejudo definitely won.
I genuinely was upset at the fight because of how quickly MMA Twitter was like, yeah, Mighty Mouse lost, thank God. Like how quickly so many people were excited that he lost and like wrote him off as the best champion.
That's crazy.
It made like there are some people who I still see tweeting whose names I won't call out who are respected individuals who are like, oh man, so good to see Mighty Mouse's reign. And I'm like, why? Why was it that he was a great and he was also like so much more humble in defeat than anyone on that card was in victory.
Right.
Yeah.
He took that, like, even Cormier tweeted yesterday, it's like, every single fighter can learn from Mighty Mouse.
Yeah, man, he handled it really well. But when Cejudo landed that last takedown in the 5th round, it was like this weird kind of turning point where we were all like, God, he kind of won this fight.
Yeah.
We're all like, God damn, he won this fight, man. And then when they gave the split decision and it was either, I think it was Cejudo or Mighty Mouse. One of them got the first round. The other one got first judge maybe scored at Cejudo. Second one scored at DJ. And we're all kind of sitting there. And in my head, I was thinking, like, I get if they give it to Mighty Mouse. He's been the champion for so long. But in my head, I was like, I'll be kind of disappointed because I really did think Cejudo won. And then when they gave it to Cejudo, I was kind of like just relieved in that. I was like, I think the guy who actually won.
Right.
You know, I think they gave it to the right guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so weird. That was a 7-year reign.
It's crazy.
We were like, I think I tweeted like we were 16 the last time he.
Dude, it was.
Yeah.
It was
not you, coach, but
yeah, not you, professor.
I think the only issue I have with the fight, and I think why DJ should have won, is that I think we value takedowns too much.
Yep.
Takedowns that don't lead to anything still get way more kind of credit than leg kicks that actually are damaging.
That's a really good.
That's my
I
only
agree
point.
because none of those takedowns actually caused much damage or change to the fight because he was sprawling so quickly and getting up. I didn't feel like there was enough.
He had the
done
one
I
good
don't know.
takedown where he was able to hold DJ down for a few beats, and I'm like, okay, that if you could hold him down and you can get some punches in, okay, then I give you credit to that. But if you do a takedown and the person gets up after a split second, like, what?
Yeah, I feel like there should be a system where it's like, all right, that's half the regular points.
Sure, but it's like it's just it's a vague system of scoring.
Yeah.
It's hard to be like, well, it's not like they're necessarily giving a physical point per takedown.
Yeah.
No, I
But I mean, striking is supposed to be judged higher than takedowns, correct?
well, I think
It's not necessarily that even like that. It's more like cage control is supposed to be judged.
And the new one
more.
is being the aggressor. I know that came in
Yeah.
last year.
I think that
Which Cejudo was the aggressor.
that's kind of okay. So I kind of thought, well, first of all, I think they need to restructure the scoring.
Agreed.
I think there needs to. I think Rogan has talked about it before. I think he's kind of right. They need to have a long list of categories and take their time. Whatever they need to do, but a long list of categories. And if it's going to be mixed, if you're going to be judging mixed martial arts, you should judge on a bunch of categories, and we should be able to see how you score them in each category. Make it more complex then, because mixed martial arts is a lot more complex than boxing.
Absolutely.
The scoring shouldn't be structured the same.
And I mean, the disconnect between fans and scoring is really large. I mean, no one really knows the scoring.
Yeah.
You get like every now and then they'll release the picture of the card, but like the fans don't genuinely know how the scoring's happening, which makes it more interesting, but it also makes it a little tougher to follow along. Because like an average fan, sometimes they'll be like, how'd that person win? You know, it's not very clear. Like I feel like there could be a little more. I feel like my point could be clearer right now too, but so could the scoring system.
I think that like to me the reason I thought Cejudo won was because and I don't know. Let me know what you think. It seemed like Cejudo enacted more of his will on Mighty Mouse than Mighty Mouse did on Cejudo.
Mm-hmm.
Like Cejudo, I guess you just consider it ring control, but he seemed to be the aggressor and be able to successfully get Mighty Mouse in the positions or do to Mighty Mouse what he wanted to do more than Mighty Mouse did to him.
Probably. Okay. I can see what you're saying.
Yeah. The only thing that he has to get the rematch, Mighty Mouse. This can't go to anybody else.
Yeah.
No,
You should not. Cejudo does not deserve TJ right now.
No.
No,
But before
also-
sorry, Luke, finish. Sorry.
Oh, no, what were you going to say?
I just want to make sure we get to TJ and Cody before we. Get
Okay,
to
well,
wrap up.
I was just gonna say before we get there, then Cejudo. I don't think anybody wants to. Maybe some people do. It makes way more sense to make two fights that everybody wants to see, which would be the trilogy between Cejudo and Mighty Mouse, and the rematch between TJ and Cruz. I think those are two fights that everybody would love to see.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I also think people would love to see TJ versus Sunsao. They'd love to see TJ versus Marlon.
Yeah.
Especially Marlon.
Yeah.
Everybody loves watching Marlon fight. You know, so I think there's a lot of fights that can be made at bantamweight. There's too many good fighters at bantamweight for one of them to not get the nod.
Right.
I mean, Cruz has beaten TJ and was you can make the argument he was the best bantamweight of all time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's 1 and 1A.
Yeah.
So I think it makes sense to give it to Cruz. Cruz really wants to fight. And then if for some reason that falls through, Sunsao is on a massive winning streak. If I'm not I think he's on a pretty.
I couldn't say off the top of my head. I know he's up there in rankings, and I think he deserves it just as much as Marlon. But that's probably
I think he's on a pretty long streak.
The most interesting matchup I heard from that division, which made sense, it was the winner of Jimmy Rivera versus John Dodson versus Cody Garbrandt.
I like that.
That would be sick.
That'd be
Either of them versus Cody's a fun fight. Dodson is another guy who barely gets any respect, but he's been doing pretty well since he changed weight classes. And it would be fun to see. They're both on that card in Texas. Aljamain's fighting again.
Oh, great.
And then Jimmy versus Dodson's on that card.
But
that division's
that's
a fun
great.
division.
No, it is, man. And also the other thing about Cody with a lot of those guys, which we can kind of segue into the fight, is that Cody against Jimmy or Dodson, there's a good chance they stand and bang, which will be a fun fight to watch.
Yeah, Cody has a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
I mean,
he needs to really
come
watch
on.
that tape.
Dude,
That was very interesting. Like, why did you not change anything?
Yeah, if anything, digress.
So what I think from watching it and from talking to the other analysts when I was there is that he did change his game plan, but that when he had TJ in trouble, he fully let his emotions take over. And he basically completely abandoned his game plan trying to take TJ's head off.
Yeah.
Because he was throwing more kicks and he seemed to be more patient. And I think Cormier and Rogan both kind of noted that when they were watching them earlier in the first round. They were like, Cody's throwing a lot more kicks. He seems a lot more patient and measured, and he seems like he's fighting well. Then he hit TJ with that big shot that rocked him, and everybody's like, holy shit, he hurt TJ.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck. And you could tell TJ was in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah,
He was
absolutely.
definitely hurt.
Absolutely.
But then as soon as he started swinging, I leaned over to my buddy Anthony. I was like, dude, he is leaving his chin
Wide open.
He was swinging the way you'd swing like at a street fight.
Yeah.
I was like, what is he
No
doing?
defense.
Dude? I couldn't believe he was swinging like that and dropping his hands that low and keeping his arms that wide and just showing really no guard. And then TJ literally caught him 2 seconds after I said that to Anthony. It was like immediately when we started doing that, TJ caught him.
Yeah.
Also, anyone who said there was an early stoppage could go fuck themselves.
That's insane.
That was it made sense. He was getting beat pretty badly.
It's like, do you want to see him die?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I was happy with that stoppage. I think there's another one
He got a knee to the
either
chin.
earlier in the card or I'm thinking of a different card where I'm like, that was a little quick. But God, man, I can't remember which fight it was. So let's continue on this one.
Yeah. Before we dive super into the main event, I'd also like to point out that I think my favorite, the underdog, JJ Aldrich, the female fighter, beat the shit out of that girl, Pollyanna.
Oh,
And
that was
she
a good fight.
And she was a huge favorite, Pollyanna.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a good tweet about her that she looked
Yeah.
like an extra in Orange is the New Black, which she did.
This is 100%.
But yeah, I was really impressed with that fight. I think she's going to be really good.
She was really down to earth.
But to dive into that, I mean, that main event was just there was so you could tell, like, you know, every now and then you get the fake buildup of the guys who hate each other. There's real bad feelings between those two.
Dude,
Yeah.
and the ooze from the crowd and in the press room, and you heard him in the press room from the crowd when TJ stuck his hands out to bump gloves with Cody, and Cody shook his head. Everybody was like, ooh. Like, it was like, wow.
If you recall, that was exactly what happened in the first fight too.
Yeah, it was.
TJ went for the fist bump and he didn't do it.
It was, yeah, man, I don't know. Do you think his game plan was wrong, Diego, or do you think that his emotions, he just let his emotions?
I think it's the thing when you're in there with someone that has clipped you, it gets scary.
Yeah.
And you if you feel like you're close to finishing them, you just want to get the fuck out of there, and you maybe just cash out right there and try and put it all on the table. But he got so sloppy, man. It's just such a strange thing, and he just stayed in the pocket for too long.
And he never corrected the sloppiness.
Yeah.
He let it keep going.
It's also
a lot.
interesting that TJ really broke down why he knocked out Cody. And he was like, we noticed from watching tape that he drops his left hand low when he throws his right.
Yeah.
He goes, when he's looking for a finish and he throws his right, he drops his left low. And I knew that if I could duck the right, I could bang a counter over his
I love when they say that shit, like when DC beat Stipe and he talked about watching the tape. I love the idea of fighters in a room watching tape and knowing how they're going to beat someone.
And it seems like all the best fighters are really good at studying like madmen and learning their opponent's tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
Connor, Dillashaw, DC, a lot of those guys seem to have a good grasp of what each and every opponent's going to do and those opponents' tendencies. It was really interesting to watch, man. I also, dude, TJ Dillashaw might be the best fighter on the planet, right? He's unbelievable. That guy's amazing.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. He's very confident, and he's using his skills in a way that lets them shine the most. Like, he's almost keeping the fight where he wants to keep it. He's a great job at keeping distance and kind of maneuvering laterally to keep the person from cutting them off and kind of like keeping them at kicking range so he could work off of that. I wouldn't say I'm hesitant to say he's the best fighter in the world right now, but I see what you're saying. He's very good right now, and he's so confident
and fluid.
Yeah.
Fun to watch.
It's really just
Very fun to watch. Absolutely. Couldn't
I don't
agree
get,
more.
like, he's part of that class of, like, Daniel Cormier where people, for some reason, innately hate him without having much reason. I asked a few people on Twitter and that were at my house who were fight fans, and I was like, why do you guys don't? Like, well, he left his camp. I was like, yeah, how many fighters leave their camp to get better?
Yeah,
he just wanted to improve. And to be honest, I got why he left. Team Alpha Male seems to be a different type of gym.
Yeah.
Where camaraderie comes first, which is nice, but at the end of the day, you got to work on what's best for you.
You know what I noticed? Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, no, what were you gonna say?
When I noticed his walkout shirts have a pattern on them that say Dillashaw, and I look closer, it's a snake pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Which is-
calls himself the Snake now.
Yeah, he has he got a tattoo on his bicep of a snake.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What a weird way to like kind of embrace a negative aspect of your person.
I love that. When I saw the snake tattoo, I was like, "That's amazing." He rolled into the trolls' comments, which was like, "I'm just gonna get it on me."
Yeah, I get it.
He, I also think that.
He's a snake in the grass.
Well, I think that people. I don't know why people didn't like TC. I think that was just. I just find that ridiculous. I think that people didn't like TJ or don't like TJ because he comes off disingenuous.
Okay.
When you hear him in interviews and you see him before and after, and a lot of times he just comes off a bit disingenuous. Whereas as much of a meathead as Cody can be and as brash and kind of obnoxious as he can be sometimes, especially when he's talking trash, he never comes off disingenuous. It always seems like he's being completely true to how he feels, and in everything he says, he's just completely letting you know how he feels without any filter. And I think people kind of connect to that in a way that people just connect to honesty, and I don't think that TJ always comes off the most honest in his interviews. Yeah, just when you hear him in interviews.
Yeah,
I get it. I don't know, for some reason, I've never been a fan of Garbrandt, and it's weird because I usually go into fighters as unbiased and just trying to get to know TJ. For some reason, Cody. For some reason, I never really felt myself rooting for him in any of the past two fights, like against TJ.
Yeah, if we're being biased for a second and not being analysts, my favorite in that, I love Cruz, so I really love Dominick Cruz.
I can't wait to watch him fight again. I think he really deserves. He's going to be good. I think Cruz is going to come out much stronger than people are thinking.
Yeah,
I hope so. I think he's great, but
the
I'd be okay with him not fighting anymore.
that we skipped right over was how fucking scary Thiago Santos looked.
Oh Jesus, that was nuts.
That man. Record aside, might be the scariest man in the U.S. Like just based off of looks and pure strength.
It's crazy.
He is frightening. Did he come back for an interview?
Yeah, he did.
How large is he?
He's very large. He's very scary.
Is he bigger than me?
How's his dick?
The only thing is that he had a translator, so they kind of made the interview like
it's hard to connect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there was that old white man. He translates all the Brazilians.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird because he used to be that younger kid.
Yeah, he was always the one.
He was
always
in the suit.
He looked
the
like
younger
Tommy
kid.
the Freak.
Yes.
Yeah, the weird looking one.
Perfectly said.
But this guy, I think, is also a coach, maybe, because when we were in Atlantic City, I saw him in the room with one of the fighters, not translating, just talking shop, and now he's the Brazilian translator.
Weird.
Oh my God.
Let's wrap it up so I can get home before this.
We're at 47 minutes, so we could call this.
Man.
What's going on? Any dates to plug?
I'm going to be in LA on the 20th. I might be doing some shows, so keep an eye out on my Twitter. This Diego Lopez. That's about it.
I will be, if you're in Maine, I'll be headlining at the Laugh Shack in Portland on Thursday, the 26th. I'll be in Boston the following weekend, and then the weekend after that, starting Wednesday and going through Sunday, I will be in Colorado headlining and featuring on shows.
Wow, look at this bitch.
Denver, Fort Collins, and Colorado Springs. I'll be headlining and featuring on some shows in all three of those cities. So if
Are you doing the Boulder comedy show?
Yeah, Boulder's one of them.
Buddy.
Let me know when you do Colorado Springs. I know people there.
Sweet. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Colorado, Boston, Maine, if you're around, hit me up.
Wow. Papa Luke on shows.
If you have a virtual reality television, on Thursday I will be doing a set on the next VR channel. Gotham Comedy Live.
The fuck?
Is now a virtual reality TV show.
And you can order chicken wings at your apartment? Like you can look around and
it's like you're in
bother the waitress.
Yeah. So I'll have that Thursday, and then Boston, I'll be headlining Nick's Boston the 24th and the 25th of
That's
August.
great. I love to headline.
All right. Thanks for tuning in,
We love
folks.
you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Pay some people to do push-ups and laugh in their face. Hashtag Khabib.
Bye.